Hello, hello. Just popping on to offer a really short, it's probably like 15 minutes, but it's gonna be whatever it is. We're gonna go through 5 different poses that help with lung function, lung capacity, some for the circulatory system. Just with all this fear these days surrounding kind of the respiratory system and what this new illness can look like for it and how it kind of attacks it. So just an opportunity to do some preventative care. So let's just start with a few breaths in seated. If you've done yoga with me before or yoga at all, you may already be familiar with the 3-part breath. The 3-part breath goes where you first draw your air down into your belly, or an abdominal breath, and then you'll fill up the rib cage or the thoracic breath, and then finally into the chest or the clavicular area, and then exhale chest, rib cage, belly. A few more times. Inhale belly, rib cage, chest, and exhale chest, rib cage, belly, belly, rib cage, chest, and chest. Exhale rib cage, exhale belly. Just return to your natural breathing for a moment. Breathing is such a key element in yoga. Really, it's in a lot of ways what it's all about. Taking control of our breath and our oxygen intake not only can help us kind of take control of our mind, of our emotions, it can recenter us in times of stress. It can help us move through triggers and shadows. It really is our connection to the present moment. The lungs in a scientific function help release toxins, as well as the obvious feeding all our organs and blood with oxygen. So as we move into some of these poses, I want you to take really deep breaths, really work on bringing as much air in. And then when you breathe out, when you exhale, also squeezing all the air out, using your abdominal muscles to push all the air out. So we're going to start with this one in Sukhasana, or comfortable seated position, which hopefully you're in right now. Go ahead and we're going to take a few with each hand hold, but grab the right wrist with the left hand. And you're just going to pull that shoulder open gently, taking a deep breath in. And exhale, forehead towards left knee. Inhale up, switch arms, switch knee. Inhale and exhale, switch. A few more times each side. One more time each side. With your next inhale, coming to center, releasing your arms from behind your back. So this pose, the breathing in Sukhasana, really helps stimulate the blood flow to the lungs. Again, as mentioned before, washing toxins from the lungs and muscles around the lungs. And this one in particular can also help to increase your concentration, treat respiratory disorders, and reduce stress and anxiety. The second pose I'm offering is Bhujangasana, or Cobra pose. So making your way onto your belly. Placing your hands beneath your shoulders. Tops of the feet come to the mat. Thighs press into the mat. Maybe starting with your forehead to the floor. Spread your fingers and begin to lift up. Start by just lifting up with the muscles in your back. So lift your hands an inch off the mat. And just see where you're at. So activating those muscles, feeling those back muscles, drawing those shoulders down away from the ears, begin to press into the hands. And you're going to keep pressing, pressing, pressing until you straighten the arms, gazing up, pressing the tops of the feet into the mat. Breathing through the whole front body, pressing shoulders down away from the ears. Exhale, release. We're going to take that one more time. This time move the hands forward just a little bit. Actually, let's take Sphinx for this one. You're going to bring your elbows right under your shoulders, palms straight out in front, fingers spread. Rock your hips back and forth, get them nice and planted on the mat. And then just like Cobra, we're gonna energetically pull those elbows, those forearms in towards your hips, pulling that chest through the shoulders, gazing up and breathing, pressing and pulling through the elbows at the same time. So pressing them into the mat for length, for shoulders down away from the ears, and then drawing them back towards you to open that chest. And exhale, release. Coming into child's pose, shifting those hips back. You can either take your knees together, resting your belly on your knees, or knees wide, belly drops down in between the thighs, forehead comes to the mat. Inhaling back, forward. Make your way onto your back. Oh, but I do want to give you, so for the Cobra pose, the beautiful part of that one, along with stretching out the lungs and chest, is it can help soothe sciatic pain, increase mobility and flexibility in the back, and strengthens the muscles around the spine and lungs. This also helps with symptoms of asthma. So as you make your way onto your back for fish, or Matsya Asana, go ahead and bring those shoulders and those elbows in close to your body, as close as you can to your sides. Let's start with bent legs, and you can straighten them once we get up if that feels good to you. Sometimes it's a little bit of a deep stretch in the back if you are not a regular to a yoga practice. So pressing up into the elbows, you're going to drop the back of that head towards the mat till the crown of your head hits the mat, and then keep pressing into those elbows. So most of the weight is on the elbows. The head is just for balance. We're opening up again through the chest, through the lungs. Maybe you bring your feet out straight. Gazing out behind you, breathing deeply, in through the rib cage. Maybe place the hands palms down by your side. Again, most of your weight is in the elbows and forearms. To come out of this pose, press strongly into the elbows to release the crown of the head coming back onto your back. Taking a breath or two here on your back. As we move towards the next pose. So this one will start on our back to Padma Sarvangasana, or lotus and shoulder stand. Now, I can't even personally get my legs, my feet, my hips into a full lotus position, but we'll take a cross-legged position. We'll just go for holding it for 5 to 10 breaths. Even if you're new to yoga, I know going upside down at all can sound intimidating, but this one tends to be really, really accessible for most people. So go ahead and give it a shot. Once you begin getting up into it, though, you are not going to want to turn your head from side to side. You're going to want to remain gazing forward. So if you need to watch first before you begin your breathing, please do that. Do not start to get up into it while you're watching. Again, we're going to tuck our shoulders in, our elbows in, close to our spine, so our shoulder blades come together on our back. From there, you'll roll your hips up and catch them in your hands. And then it takes a little bit of shimmying and inching until you really have a nice seat. The hip bones supported by the hands. And then with straight legs, you're going to begin to bend the legs into what would be like a cross-legged position, as if you were sitting on the ground. This is where you'll breathe for 5 to 10 breaths. At the end of your 10 breaths, you may need to shift your hips back a little bit, but begin by straightening one leg and then the other. You'll bring your hands to the mat. Feet might go towards over your head as you begin to roll down. One vertebra at a time. Hips come down to the mat last, releasing the soles of the feet to the mat. Taking a couple breaths here. So as you're ready, maybe you grab behind the thighs with bent knees, beginning to roll yourself up to seated. Our fifth and final pose is going to be a seated pose. I absolutely love inversions. I love going upside down for a multitude of different reasons, but this beautiful one allows for proper chest expansion, which gives way for easier passage of air into the lungs, better expulsion of toxins from the body. It improves your balance and strengthens the nervous system. And coming into the final pose will be Ardha. Oh man, I should have brushed up on my Sanskrit. Well, it'll be a half spinal twist. Ardha Matsyendrasana. So go ahead and take that left heel over towards the right side of the body. Both hips should be firmly planted on the mat. Go ahead and take that right leg around, sole of the foot comes to the mat. Again, see if you can work those hips down onto the mat. You don't want to be tilted to one side. If you're tilting really far and you can't seem to get that hip back down to the mat, just go ahead and straighten out that bottom leg. So one or the other, finding that leg position. We're going to take 10 breaths on each side in the seated twist. You can take that left arm and hug the right leg, or you may draw it up, lengthening the spine and hooking that elbow over the knee. Go ahead and take that right hand behind you, lengthening through the spine on the inhale, and exhale, deepen into the twist. Breathing deeply here for about 10 breaths. Inhale, coming to center. Switching across the legs. If you took a bottom straight leg on the first one, go ahead and take it on the second side as well, even if your hip does come down. A lot of times one hip will be tighter than the other, but yoga is really about balance. So we really try and take the same thing on each side and not keep working the stronger side more and more, but kind of going for that balance between both sides. So once you've got your foot position, go ahead and hug and or elbow hook. Left arm, left hand behind the spine to support. Inhale, nice straight spine. Exhale into the twist. On your next inhale, unwinding back to center, meeting and seated just for a couple more moments as we close out. So this beautiful twist is a great way to find relief from breathing difficulties, stress, or tension. Also relieves any back pain that may be due to stiffness between the vertebrae or a lack of mobility, kind of tightness. Thank you for joining me for 5 asanas, 5 yoga poses to help increase your lung capacity and breathing. I hope it feels really good to be able to do some proactive work and kind of take control of your health and wellness. Namaste.